Hello and welcome again to Ever Felt Like This? Australia's somehow number 314th Round the Twist podcast.
You laugh, but wait till we pivot to a lamp review podcast.
Finally, something useful. I mean, 300th, fine. Those other 299 that popped up are pretty good, but like, 14?
Especially the one ran by Bronson.
I mean, yeah, he's living under a bridge, but still. It's mostly just bridge reviews. I'm Gabriel Twist.
I'm Amber Twist.
And today's episode were If the Walls Could Talk, which is sort of interesting in light of what occurs. I think there's a lot...
I think they say, geez, kids, stop masturbating. I'm not a doctor, but that thing looks raw.
Yeah. There are things I don't want anything to know about. So anyway, we cut straight to the theme, and then we don't get a little cold open this time. It's sort of time. There's been a noticeable like, hey, we're wasting a lot of time element to this season.
You know what? Cool, awesome.
Yeah, I still feel like they're trying to pack too much in sometimes, but like at least it's like, okay, we've already got like 30 seconds worth of intro. We don't need to dilly-dally.
Yeah. So lightning strikes outside. It shows like it's rainy and stormy outside the lighthouse. Bronson's sleeping, and then it slowly pans around the bedroom.
Yeah, it does like a full 360 of the little set, and then
we start hearing laughter. Bronson stirs in his sleep, and then in like this green goopy, which I can close to Goosebumps.
Yeah, it looked like the Goosebumps font.
Says, if the walls could talk. Fades out and he goes back to sleep.
Which again didn't really relate to like, like there was no goo.
There was no goo. Distinct lack of goo.
And when it's a fucking episode of Round the Twist, if there's like a gooiness to the title font, I'm expecting
This is late
goo.
90s. I want my damn goo.
Did you ever get gack for Christmas?
Yes.
No, it was, I can't remember which year it was. It was maybe like 97 or 98 or something. It was around then. And it was just like, hey, parents, do you want to pick something out of the carpet? Fuck you. Here's gack. Kids want it.
I remember finding mine like 10 years later, and it was like hardened.
Just
Hardened gack is sad.
collapsed down to this fucking pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like then we cut down to like downstairs. I'm not sure when this was. I'm assuming it was the next day, just because I don't think Bronson's getting out of bed to go downstairs for sort of no.
It's odd because it's in the lighthouse. We don't see. There's no windows or anything.
Yeah, there's no natural light to get a fucking gauge of what's going on here.
And Tony is wistfully peeling flowers off petal by petal, saying she loves me. She loves Ralph Snapper.
I know, like next to his children.
And they're like, Dad, can you keep your moping down?
Yeah, they're trying to study for some like test that forms like the sort of the one of the core plot elements. But like then their dad's just there being miserable next to them, and like audibly miserable. You could
very
just,
loudly.
Yeah, you could just mope in a corner.
And like
the kids are doing the Port Niranda Smart Kids
they're
competition.
like, we need to study, Dad. He's like, okay, I'll leave you study for your Port Niranda something or other. And they're like, no, it's the smart kid thing. And Pete's like, Dad, she only loves him because of the book. And Tony's still a miserable pile of dicks. Because he's like, I only wish I knew how she felt. And it's like, we do know, Tony.
Yeah, she married you, and we've been through this. Remember when like fucking Linda was in love with Gribble? You know how that like completely unnatural situation resolved itself? It's that. That's the fucking problem with this as a plot point. Is it as a plot point would be something that they would set about solving over an episode.
Yeah.
And there is no earthly reason why that hasn't taken place.
In the original episode where it happened, they literally said to Tony, this is why, Tony. And Tony was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why are we still doing this?
And I understand maybe that, like, he's, like, if they made a bigger deal of he knows that it's the fucking book and he's got it super locked up and is treating it like the fucking magical artifact that it actually fucking is. It's like, all right, But none of that's really been, the case.
No.
And again, Tony's acting like he's been actually abandoned by the woman he loves, as opposed to hypno-raped. Which are separate problems.
Oh, God. Snapper's penis.
It has a bow tie on it, too.
Oh, yeah, it does. So Bronson comes downstairs and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And they're like, "We're studying, Bronson. Like, you're not really any help here."
Yeah, go away. You're the anti-brain.
And he's like, "Nah, let me help. Let me have a look." And he spills water on all over Pete's books. And he's like, "Bronson, what are you doing? You're useless. Like, you're a mistake."
Yeah, I know. The only mistake here is you.
That was harsh. And then he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with you, Dad?" He's like, "You're too young to understand matters of the ways of the heart, Bronson." And then Bronson, he goes, "Can you give me another flower?" So he reaches for the vase and it pours it all over.
Yeah, he knocks more water over everything, and then everyone just laughs at him for being a stupid piece of shit.
So he goes back out to his room and he gets really angry, slams the door, and he's like, "No one tells me anything around here. What am I supposed to do? Talk to the walls?" And then lightning strikes the lighthouse. And we get this nice little sort of like panoramic view of like a kind of like translucent Bronson as the room spins.
That whole scene, like, because everything starts like chittering. Like his lamp, his chest of drawers, like a fan. And the whole thing looks like that bit in Evil Dead 2, where like everything starts laughing at him. And like Ash starts laughing too.
Yeah.
Like it was shot in that way. Like the camera movement had that like fucking weird like kinetic thing that
it was a good shot.
What's his name does. Yeah. Like there's probably the most solid filmmaking of the fucking episode. And then one of the items has an Italian accent.
Yeah, because the lamp starts talking at first.
Yeah.
And Bronson's like, "Oh my God." And then the wardrobe starts talking in Italian. It's got an Italian accent.
Yeah. By which I mean fucking, an Anglo-Australian guy doing an Italian accent.
Yeah.
And we just had that.
It could be me doing a voice of Mario.
Yeah, and it's like we just had that episode.
We just had that.
Yeah, granted that had an actual
We
Italian
hit our quota for Italians this season. We gotta have two.
It's the only ethnic quota Australia still has for some reason. It's just been left on the books.
So all the objects start talking to him.
And he freaks out.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's honestly the most sensible fucking piece of behavior in the episode.
So he runs downstairs and, like, things are talking. Objects are talking.
Yeah.
So they'll go up to the room and nothing's talking and they're all like, Bronson, like, the fuck, man.
It is that issue of, like, at least with a lot of X-Files, they always left some degree of, in the early seasons before she got abducted, Scully had, like, plausible deniability for, like, Mulder's stupid bullshit, right? Because there comes a point where after you've, like, shot your own Wolfman and shit, that after a while, you don't get to go, oh, this one's probably bullshit. You know? Unless you have a lot of episodes of them coming home from, like, oh, yeah, no, that one turned out to be
Magical
bullshit.
tree, baby.
Yeah, like, you have direct lived experience. You literally currently, stepmother is being hypno-raped as a result of a Viking book of hypno-rape. Bronson might be telling the truth. Like, talking fucking items in the house is not a stretch here. And it keeps going back to that well of just like, oh yeah, whatever, Bronson.
I just think people just don't like Bronson.
I mean, that's the other possibility. It's just like, yeah, we believe you, Bronson, but also we don't care about your problems because we don't like you.
So I like that Tony's like, I haven't been spending much time with you lately. I'm sorry, that will change. Then it doesn't. The whole episode, Tony never spends time with Bronson.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna criticize him too harshly for that.
And so, like, Bronson, he calms Bronson down, leaves, and Bronson tries to go to sleep. And then the pillow is like, can you close your mouth when you sleep?
Yeah.
I'm sick of the drool dots on me. So Bronson freaks out and he's like, what's going on here? And the objects tell him, well, you talk to us.
I know.
So now we talk to you.
Everything that isn't living or breathing will now talk to Bronson on the baffling proviso that he never demands anything tell him something they don't want to. I know.
It's weird.
Like, and this kind of, like, granted, this isn't really a problem with the episode exactly.
No.
Because it's not meant to be into the, this is me going into the unnecessary depth of, like, the concept. But where where does a thing begin and another thing end? Like, are the pillowcase and the pillow different things? You know? Or is that a strange, sex thing happening with them now? Like, what's the deal with that? Because, like, he'll talk to stuff, and it's like, all right, a lamp you can say is a singular item. A fan is a singular item. But, like, it's just the fucking, like, drawers in his cupboard that talk. The cupboard part doesn't talk. So is that just, like, some, vestigial twin or something that's left attached? Like, at one point a gate talks to him. And a gate's a very fucking, does that include the fence? Is the fence a separate person? Like, there's just... This is one of those little things that's in the background of every instance of him talking to a thing. Whereas, like, some stuff is things, and you can go, hey, that's a thing, and you can pick up that thing and walk around with it. And then some stuff's like a part. And I don't know how much of a...
that's true. Bronson makes a deal with the objects. And then the next day, Linda's about to put muesli in a bowl. He's like, don't put muesli in that bowl. That bowl hates muesli. It's more of a Cocoa Puff bowl. Here, have this one. She's like, okay. And then, like, don't put the jug near the juice and all these things. And
they're arguing.
And he says hello to the fridge. And then Bronson's like, I have a denouncement to make.
Yeah, there's some good Bronsonisms in this episode. I do really like that is one element of his character. Like, he's probably the most stable character, really.
Absolutely.
Except for, like, I don't know, abandoning the computer. But, like, yeah, just... His fucking misuse of words is such a quality long-term thing.
And I love it because he's like, I now have the power to talk to things.
It's like it's one of those things where, you watch this fantasy, make-believe nonsense, but you just gotta be like, I just tell people, fuck it. And you always wonder what that'd be like. And then Bronson's just like, I can talk to things. And like, all right, that's...
So if you want the answers to tests, if you want to know how people feel about you, talk to me. I can tell you.
Feel about you.
That's
provided they express those feelings out loud to, like, rooms, and they're not in some kind of strange anechoic chamber without any fucking items inside. Then I'll be able to be like, yeah, what's the deal with that?
So Bronson gets to school. He sees.
Yeah.
Faye and Snapper arrive, and he's like, oh, the Viking Book of Love. Talks to the gate.
Yeah, this is where I work. What defines a thing, Because the gate's like, hello, Bronson. Is like, all right. It's funny, too, because, like, Snapper's got, like, one of those little kit cars. And don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful little vehicle. But also he's trying to, like, drive his girlfriend around in it. And, some of these things are just not really... They're not passenger-carrying vehicles. And Faye's having a time trying to get out of this fucking thing.
We get Gribble for his only two appearances in the episode. And it starts by saying, you, scruffy girl.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Because he's the one behind the fucking Niranda Clever Kids competition thing, right?
Yeah.
And so he's at the school with this big fucking check, talking himself up about, like, how he came from where you are, which is to say, nothing. I used to be one of the little people. But then he's like demanding people ask questions so he can, ramble on and answer. And he just, you, scruffy girl. And sadly, this happens off camera because I was curious as to
see scruffy girl.
Yeah, which scruffy girl are we talking about here? And then Bronson walks up to, like, fucking, what's his name? It's not Alfred. It is starting with
Anthony.
A. Anthony, that's it. Who's, back in this. And, Bronson asks him, who he thinks is going to win, and Anthony just goes, well, me, because I do 5 hours of homework a night and have an IQ of 190.
And I don't go out. I don't watch TV.
Bronson, this is my thing, okay? Everyone else is out here doing things. I have my thing, and today my thing's the big deal, so just, fuck off.
The Gribble bullies sneak off.
Yeah, because their plan is to, like... And it's probably something they've coordinated with Gribble Senior.
Because they're going into the toilet and they're talking. Gribb's like, I gotta win that. And then one of them's like, yeah, you're Gribb's the great. You lie, you cheat, you win. And then the other rabbit's like, oh, your dad will, like, kill you.
Yeah, because my guess is, like, he doesn't want to give this money away.
Yeah.
So if Gribble Jr. wins it, then it just stays. Yeah. He can just not give it to Gribble Jr.
Bronson snuck in the toilet and was listening to them. And meanwhile, the toilet is talking to him.
I know, yeah. And, like, that's... Like, I knew that was going to happen. We all knew.
He's trying to shush the toilet.
And the toilet
which
laments.
Is stupid because no one else can hear the toilet but you, Bronson.
Yeah. That's, like, if things are going to talk to you and nobody else can hear it, the easy way to not get locked up is just to never acknowledge it. you know, and you kind of got to do that. Because unless you've got like a beautiful mind, you're going to get locked up.
So yeah, the bullies hear Bronson going, shh, shh.
Yeah, the bullies. And look, you know, I'm not always on the bullies' side. But so help me God, if I'm in a toilet, like a public toilet or a school toilet, and I hear someone shushing the toilet, I'm kicking the door down because I want to know what's happening. Is someone shushing a toilet?
So they're like...
The toilet was lamenting that people didn't enjoy good toilet humor either.
Yeah, because it said, what's wrong with your face? It's flushing.
Yeah. That's terrible.
It's terrible.
Also, like, what if, like, you know, are you going to ever take a shit again?
God, no.
I know.
If a toilet starts talking to me, I'm not shitting in that thing.
Fuck no. And, like, because nothing's going to make that okay. Either it likes it, and that's not great, or it hates it, and that's not great. Nothing's going to make that an okay experience on my end. You know?
Like those talking Japanese toilets.
I mean, but at least that, like, you know, that always feels like some kind of other part, like a general house robot. And not like the toilet going, shit in me.
I don't want it to be saucy about it.
The thing is, I don't want it, like, I don't know how I want it to be about it, and that's the problem.
I want it to be silent.
Yeah.
Accept my waste and be silent.
Just don't. I don't want to think about this.
So the bully, Bronson's like, I didn't hear anything. Like, I swear. And they're like, okay, but like to make sure we better give you some brainwashing. So they're gonna give him a swirl. He's gonna put his head in the toilet, and then the toilet attacks, and then all the amenities start attacking.
The urinal starts spraying him. Yeah, the toilet paper. They get drenched and then covered in toilet paper, and you know, this goes on for longer than it needs to.
It does. It goes for quite some time, and then Bronson's in class with Faye teaching, and the desk's telling Bronson, like, hey, I know the answers for this test. You want them? Bronson's like, no, shut up. And Faye's like, what's that, Bronson? Am I being too loud?
Yeah.
She's like, no. And then the teacher's desk starts talking, being like, hey, he's a bad influence. Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
And then
shut up, teacher's desk.
Yeah, they start arguing, and then Bronson yells, shut up! And to which Faye's like, well, I never. She has this look on her face like, I'm going to punch this child in the face.
Yeah, because she's trying to talk about, like, maths, and then Bronson just gets up and screams, will you shut up?
And then we go to Snapper's class, and he's talking about the test, and how important it is, how big of a test
and how he designed it, yeah.
And then he also says, and I don't see my book of poetry on anyone's desk. I'm rather disappointed. I was like...
That is...
You expect your students to buy your book.
Yeah, that's more uni professor behavior.
That's weird.
Yeah, you're not going to be doing that in a primary school, but like, you know, the old joke for the uni shit was just like, yeah, the professor be like, oh, so, you know, I'm assigning this book, and it's like, oh, it's the book you wrote. Fair enough.
Mm.
Yeah, he's like angry that, like, I don't know, 11 or 12-year-olds haven't bought his book of love poetry. And don't get me wrong, if I found out one of my high school teachers wrote a book of love poetry, I would be moving heaven and earth to get a hold of that book because it'd be the funniest goddamn thing in the world. But also, you know, it's like finding out one of your teacher has tasteful nudes. It's okay for you to hunt them down. It's not okay for him to give them to you. That's a problem.
Yeah.
It needs reporting.
So the bullies are like, we got to get the answers to these tests. They need to cheat because, like, they're not passing. They're not. Not winning this test. So they
like, Gribble's the smartest one, and he's not very smart.
Yeah. So the Snapper walks out, and then they chase him down, and they're like, "Oh, you know, there's trouble in the yard. This kid's smoking the dunnies," and Gribble's is like, "Oh, Miss James is in trouble." And he's like, "Faye." He goes into his office. He's like, James is like, I'll hold your books for you. And he just walks into his office, puts it in his desk and locks it because he's not an idiot.
I know. I did like that because it you know, him escalating to like Faye's in trouble is like, all right, yeah, that's smart. Because, like, the first thing, kids are throwing shit, and he was like, oh, kids. And then it was like, you know, someone's, like, smoking. The toys like, oh, smoking. Like, you got to go for that one. But then Faye's in trouble. And you can see him light up, and it's like, yeah, he's going to put the books down. But he's just like, oh, no, I'm going to lock the test answers up so these little fuckknuckles can't just, like, wander off of them.
So they fail that. Bronson is outside eating, like, it's probably morning tea or lunch or something.
Yeah.
With Pete and Linda. And
a chair, you know, one of the park benches is talking to him.
And they're like, What do Pete and Linda say?
Well, Pete and Linda are wanting to get a hold of the Viking Book of Love.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
So they can fucking fix this problem.
They want the book. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. Because that's what really should have been happening this entire
Bronson's
time.
like, I can get it to you.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's locked up in Snapper's desk. He's like, I can just talk to the lock and, get it to open and that sort of stuff. And they're like, what? What? And the bullies overhear this. And credit to them. Because Bronson does go into the thing and he starts talking to the drawer and the padlock doesn't like the drawer and vice versa.
Yeah, because the
He's
drawer's got like this padlock hanging off it and the padlock doesn't like being called fat.
Yeah. So he talks to it and then it opens. He goes through it while the desk is giggling and saying it tickles.
I know, yeah, that wasn't necessary.
The book's not in there. And then he sees Faye's diary. And he starts trying to talk to Faye's diary to get it to, ask if still thinks about Tony.
Yeah.
To which the bullies sneak in behind and get the test. And they're smart. They're like, Bronson can open that? Let's go look.
Yeah. Because they're like,
They
oh
believe
yeah,
Bronson.
weird magic shit happens all the time. So Bronson says he's got a way to get this fucking desk. Let's just follow him.
Remember when we saw the two dudes get the old machine and they died?
Yeah, fuck, I forgot about that.
They know what's up.
And then the best part is, like, Bronson turns around and sees them. And they just look at each other for a bit, and then the bullies, he's like, what are you doing? The bullies are like, oh, don't worry, Bronson, because we have something in common. And he's like, what's that? He goes, Gribble just says, secrets. So you keep ours, we'll keep yours. And then they just part.
And Bronson's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Bronson's at home and all the things are upset that he did this.
Yeah, because he's like basically kidnapped the diary, according to them.
Yeah, and they helped his mates take the test answers.
Yeah. And I mean, really, that's fucking stupid because your fucking network of things wasn't like aware of what was going on. Like, was the diary not paying attention like to that?
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So the things are like, we're not talking to you anymore, Bronson. It's done.
Like, because the thing is, just that scene didn't need the setup of like, don't try to the weird. We'll talk to you, but don't try to get us to tell us something that we don't want to.
They could have just been upset at him.
Yeah, like it was perfectly valid to go, hey, you're a little shit. Well, fuck you. Like, it didn't need some weird law reason why. Because there's just no earthly reason, really, why this is happening. Like, the lightning strike has no meaning. There's no magic stone. Bronson didn't get struck by the lightning.
Yeah, so why can Bronson hear shit?
Yeah.
You didn't get hit by lightning.
Yeah, you could just say that,
I want a child getting hit by lightning.
I feel like maybe we'll see that before the whole series is finished. It's just like... Because he's young. He's young and he's open-minded to magic and nonsense. So things can talk. You can hear the things. Like, that's fine. It doesn't need to get. You don't need lightning that doesn't do anything. Lightning makes electronics come to life. That's it. That's you can't just make it go. Oh yeah, now your fucking, chest of drawers is Italian.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't an Italian chest of drawers? Like, what the, because I'd expect the IKEA shit to sound Swedish. And be like, all right, that makes sense. I haven't heard, it looked cheap.
It did.
It did not look like an Italian.
Fantastic furniture.
If that, with some knockoff fantastic.
It's fantastic furniture, but fantastic is spelled with an O. Fantastic furniture. So Bronson wakes up the next day and he's like, I'm running late. My alarm clock didn't go off. And Tony's like, oh, is it on the blink? He said, no, it's just stopped talking to me. He gets to school and he tries to put the diary back and Faye catches him. And was like, what are you doing, Ron? Bronson's like,
stealing your money?
Snapper gives out the test. And we cut between a few scenes here and there. So we get Snapper giving out the test.
The bully is looking really, really confident.
Yeah. Faye then cuts back to Faye and Tony. She's got Tony in. And she's like, Bronson's like,
Acting like a
talking to
lunatic,
things and not paying attention.
Having
Is there
outbursts.
trouble at home? And Tony's like, I don't know. What do you think? And she's like, oh.
I think Snapper's great.
Yeah, she's like, well, Ralphie, can't be wrong. He's perfect.
Yeah.
And he's like, Ralphie? It shows them the bullies are taking the test. They're super, super smug. And Anthony's like, well, if you gotta, they know they can't win. So.
Yeah, so why not be relaxed about it?
And goes back to, again, Fanny and Tony's going on about how he wants to know what she thinks of the matter and all this, and Faye's like, oh, I'm getting a headache. Tony, you're giving me a headache. And she walks to leave the room, and Tony tries to get the diary, to which she sees, comes back and takes the diary with her. And then we see her go outside, and she just drops all her shit.
Yeah, she kind of, like, there's sort of a stoop, but it's like, I don't know, she briefly forgets how doors and steps work and drops all of her shit. And, like, not only does she drop all of her shit, she just doesn't pick up the diary. Like, it's hard to, like, you know, she had, like, a full tilt double arm full of stuff. You'd be like, all right, yeah, I can understand not noticing that. But she's holding two things, you know? And the diary just falls behind her, and she's like, well, and then wanders off.
And then her dog is there. Because, like, it cuts to Bronson, and so I go, oh, no. And then it cuts back outside, and there's a dog.
There's this little dog. And that
it picks up the diary.
And we've never seen this dog before or since.
And it runs away.
It's just a diary dog. It eats diaries. That's a Port Niranda cryptid.
So Bronson just runs away, chasing this dog. Tony's still in the room.
Yeah, just being useless.
Doesn't say anything. Just Bronson runs off. Okay, my child, you know.
Kid's running off, whatever.
He chases it to a park and he loses it and he sits down and he's like, you know, I am useless, you know, and I can't do anything. And then the wind kicks in and the playground starts talking to him.
Yeah, like they had those like little chain link bridges that you can muck around on, and one of them starts talking to the, to Bronson.
Like, hey, it's over there.
Yeah.
The dog's at the base of the slide.
Just, stop the fucking dog from eating the diary.
So he goes over and he starts talking to the dog and he's like, you know, if you don't give that to me, I'm going to tell everything what you did.
Yeah.
Every time you cock your leg and pee on anything, you know, they'll know you're the dog that ate the diary. And the dog gives him the diary, and I'm like, okay.
And, well, because Bronson says, and one day they'll, one of them will get you.
Oh yeah, that was
like that's because he's
that's
like
such a weird thing.
Yeah,
because
you're there going like every time you pee on a wall, it's like, okay, cool. What's a wall gonna do about that? Because because the dog's peed on stuff before, and guess what the things have done? Nothing. Because they're things. If they were upset about getting pissed on, they probably what about the toilet? Because now we're at the fucking awkward point again where some of the things like being, don't like being pissed on because they're going to be angry at the dog for doing it. But yet, the toilet wasn't angry at Bronson.
No.
And so now we know that there are things that like being pissed and shit on.
So he gets the diary back and like the objects are like, oh, we need to help him out, fellas. And it cuts back to like the desk in the school agreeing and it's like, do items have psychic connections? Can every item just talk to anything regardless of...
I know, yeah, because that was the other, part. Because it did seem like that for the whole episode. But then Bronson was like, I'll tell all the other things. And it's like, all right.
And also, the stuff at home didn't know until the diary got home what happened.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck?
Maybe the wind.
But anyway...
Is the wind a thing?
In the class, the bullies are cheating, and then objects start revealing their cheats.
And what form does this take?
It's like Tiger's shirt blows up.
Tiger's shirt just raises
from like a fan,
exposing his midriff.
And he's got like all the answers written all over him, on his chest and on his arms.
Yeah, it's like Memento. Well, like Rabbit has him on his body. He's got like the fucking John G. raped and killed my wife situation. Whatever the other one's name is. What is it? Rabbit,
Tiger.
Tiger, that's it. Tiger's got him written on his arms. And, the shirt reveals this by just ripping the arms of the shirt off. So, did that hurt? I don't know. The arm, the shirt on fucking Rabbit just rolled up.
Yeah.
So, it's like, all right. And then this shirt just tore something of itself. I mean, maybe that shirt was just a very dramatic shirt.
And then Gribbs starts levitating. The chair lifts up, spins him upside down.
Yeah.
And all the papers start coming out of him. And Snapper is furious. Snapper goes, get down! And then when he finally he lands, he comes up to him, and he goes, you think you can cheat? You think you can lie? You think you can levitate in my class? And of course Snapper is upset you were not obeying the laws of physics.
I know, that's...
I wrote, and then you see Snapper taking the boys outside, and I wrote, Snapper takes the kids outside, presumably to beat them.
It does have a... modern rules be damned, I'm getting the belt. Because he drags the kids off by their ears.
And we see Bronson outside, and the diary, talks to him and, says that he asks, I just want to know, does does Faye still think about us? And he's like, oh, she hasn't written in me since Snapper read the diary, Viking Book of Love to her. The last thing she wrote about was she had a picnic with Tony and it was in the tulips and it was so beautiful and she was so happy she nearly cried.
Yeah. And then Bronson asks, is that a good thing? And the diary goes, in this context, yes. Yes. Which I thought was very funny.
He runs up to Faye and he's like, oh, Faye, you dropped this. And she's like, oh, thanks. Why has it got bite marks in it? He goes, oh, a dog had it.
Again, there's a directness to Bronson that I do like sometimes.
And I like it because Faye just goes, right.
Yeah, all right. That's fair enough.
And Bronson asks her, he just wanted to know, he's like, she's like, why did you take it in the first place? He's like, I just wanted to know if you still think about us. She's like, oh, you could have just asked me that. And
the diary lock winks at Bronson, which
it was
just unfortunate and unnecessary.
Gribble's then showing who won the contest, and of course it is Anthony, who starts going into a speech about thanking all his favorite scientists,
which is just a list of scientists.
Yeah,
and it just keeps going.
It keeps going. Meanwhile,
Bronson somehow has procured like a store-bought bouquet of tulips. Yeah,
which not like one he's picked out of the garden. This is like,
which would be weird to begin with, because where the fuck do you find a tulip? And then he's just got them somehow,
And he goes to Tony, give these to Faye, she'll cry. He's like, trust me.
Yeah, and so, Tony walks up and, because, there's dialogue Tony has that's trying to cover for this issue, where, he technically knows it's the Viking Book of Love, but, just would be happier if he knew that she's still...
Yeah.
There was something still there, and, it wasn't, all
he's
of this.
He's like, look, Faye, I respect your decision, I hope you have a happy life with Ralph. And then gives her the flowers, and she starts crying. He goes, cry? She goes, no, well, yes, well... And he's so happy. He's overjoyed. And he's like, well, see you later. He goes up to Bronson and says, we might beat that spell yet. Thanks, mate. Walks over to Pete, who's on the way in, and just goes, she cried.
That's right. Oh, yeah, because when he gives the fucking tulips to Tony, he even says they'll make her cry. And Tony goes, is that good? And then Bronson says, in this contest, yes. There's another little great Bronson.
So then Pete comes in and has a dig at Bronson. Like, you have any good conversations with some posts lately?
Yeah. And
Bronson's like, no, not really. Pete's like, well, maybe I will have some one day. And then the post head detaches as a mouse. And it's like, not likely, pal. And he's like, what? And that's the end of the episode. Pete and Linda had pretty much no involvement in this episode, apart from
sort of being
three little plot point conversations to move things forward.
Which, look, I'm okay with. It's important when you're doing a fucking plot to just... Sometimes you've got to just not hack the plot up to try and wedge.
I like it because often Bronson episodes get an abundance of Pete and Linda, and I get it because Bronson can be hard to carry a full episode because it's Bronson.
Yeah,
but I think this one did really well.
Yeah, this is definitely this was a strong Bronson episode, in spite of some of the broader problems, because they're not really the fault of this episode exactly. The arc being, hinging on this Snapper and the Viking Book of Love thing just needs, if the Book of Love thing had happened before they got fucking married or something along those lines, if they didn't know about it or something along those lines, you'd be, if they only just found out that it was the Viking Book of Love, if they found out after fucking Snapper's handing out his book of poetry and then Linda realizes, oh, he's stolen these poems from the Viking Book of Love. Great.
But they knew straight away.
Yeah. And again, that really should preclude any emotional response from Tony. It's okay if he's annoyed or angry or whatever, but the idea that he's sitting here going, "Oh, Faye doesn't love me," it's no, even she hasn't written in her diary. Her brain's not there.
I think Tony's just an idiot.
I mean, there's that absolutely, but it's hard to.
He has huffed too much of his sculpture.
Oh, that's a good
stuff.
Point. Yeah,
he works with chemicals and stuff.
He's got he'll have and this is 80s and 90s chemicals. This is
It's like those old painters.
Yeah. There's lead and varnish.
Because I remember when I was growing up and seeing some of my father's friends who were painters. And, like, I see them on a job site. These guys didn't use safety equipment.
Oh, no.
So they were painting, 4 or 5 houses a week.
Yeah, and you breathe it.
And they're just breathing it the whole fucking time. And it's like, oh, I see.
A guy that did, like, video game box art for years was doing, like, this stuff that, and this, like, because, he had, like, those little hand sprayers, and he was doing, I can't remember the name of the chemical, but it literally causes brain damage.
Oh, God.
And now, he spent the last, period of his life making deranged Photoshop collages about how vaccines are giving you autism and stuff. Yeah, like, he became a conspiracy nut. And the best part is he'd have these collages about, like, 5G, vaccines, all this different stuff affecting the brain. But the thing that he conspicuously left out was the actual substance that had a massive negative impact on his brain. It's just so fucking funny. Like, that's probably, I'd say, like, they should lean in. That'd be my version of this, would just have Tony just be like, a kind of bumbling dad, but with the obvious undercurrent being that he's really got, like, substance-induced dementia. And he's managing it well, but, like, sometimes he's more varnish than dad. Fucking the fumes. I remember fucking waking up lightheaded one time and just, this was like 2 houses ago, and the floor on in that house was, like, in some areas just a suggestion. And so, like, the under the house area, which was a garage, like, it was a space that we used and stuff like that. My housemate was down there spray painting, like, just for the, for hours, and the fumes had just been wafting up into my room.
Yeah. Spray painting is not something you generally want to do inside. It needs a well-ventilated area.
Like, downstairs, it is, kind of well-ventilated, but it was right under my room.
Yeah.
And the floorboards just have gaps in it and shit. So it's just like, the fumes are just drifting up. Like,
that's
just
funny.
Gently stewing me while I napped. Okay, Amber. We have to ask the most terrifying question of all. Have you ever felt like this? Have you ever had something stolen by a dog?
I gotta think for that one. I don't think so. I feel like maybe when I was younger, dog might have taken a stuffed toy or something, but I think that's a common occurrence, but it's not something like a random dog on the street took something from me and left.
Bye, and just runs off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think I've ever had it, like, because I've only ever had really one dog. And, like, she was a border collie crossed with a German shepherd, so, like, just smarter than, like, most dogs should be. So there were times, I'll never forget coming back from, like, the kitchen, and I had, like, just a plate of, like, chicken I'd done in the oven. And it was just, like, sitting there on the coffee table, and the dog was, like, 10 centimeters away from it, just staring at it with, like, this deranged intensity. And you could just, it was watching an animal that really was only just on, in an evolutionary sense, like, only just on the cusp of self-control. It's not something animals are really massively rewarded for having. Because what's the point? You so fucking you might be dead in 5 seconds. Eat everything when you can, otherwise it'll never be there again.
Yeah.
And just this animal there just going, "Argh!" Just internally just screaming. About the only time, like, she did something that was just, like, me chasing after her, like, get back here, was, like, when she fucking managed to just get out of the house one time. Just wandered down the street, and, like, Mum waking me up, and I'm, like, hung the fuck over, and it was dead summer. So the room was just sweltering, and the outside was blistering, and I'm dehydrated and blind and running down this impossible hell of this bitumen road in Brisbane in a singlet and fucking boxers, burning several ways, and looking at this dog and going, "Susie, get back here," and her turning around, looking at me, and then just and I could see her just make a choice, just gotta chase me, and it's like, this is not the time for this. And oh dear God, she was pretty good about not devouring things though. Like when she was a pup, she got after I don't know something like Mum's glasses cases. She kept eating those. It's just such a weird fucking thing to like, really
Christ.
be. To really be.
I
the
like that
primary-
when animals pick something like that because
Yeah.
sometimes they do. They'll zero on one thing that you should never eat, and like that's the only thing I want to eat.
I
ever.
want that. It's like why that? I don't fucking peculiar little beast. So there were times with that, but that's about it. It wasn't really a stealer.
Mm.
Have you ever cheated on a test?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, I was thinking about this one for myself, and like, I never cheated on like anything to do with like, like an actual test at like a school or something.
Yeah.
That would have like, sort of put me through. And so originally that was going to be my answer was no, but then I remembered, and cause the only time I ever did it was like this sort of, hastily arranged competition between different bar staffs. And like I don't really know a huge amount about like this, that, or the other, but I could see one of the other team's fucking answer sheets in the mirror of some, like a reflection of like a bit of glass, and so I just fucking cheated off of that.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I'm just like, cause I'm saying at the time, it's like, A, I'm a bit drunk, and B, I don't actually do half of this shit. Like, I don't know what fucking stuff goes in what.
I have caught people cheating. Because I remember I ran a trivia in the bar one time, and it was a Zelda trivia.
That's fun.
And I asked what the 7 instruments from Link's Awakening were, and this team just belted them out so quickly, and I'm like, show me your phone right now. Fucking saw the Wikipedia article, and I'm like, yeah, fuck off. There's no way. Because, like, everyone else in the room got, like, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
like,
did you want just the instruments or all their names?
I wanted the names.
Oh, yeah, fuck. I don't even fucking begin.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because why would you?
Yeah.
It's, like, the hardest shit.
I'm trying to picture, all I can picture is the oboe. I remember the oboe, and I'm like, all right, great. That's...
All right, I'm going to look up them now. Let's see
I'm
instruments, see if you can...
For yourself at home, yeah, and be honest.
Be honest.
Or Amber will hit you with a ruler.
Okay, those 8 instruments. All right. Maybe I'll say 1, and it might jog your memory. Full moon cello.
Fuck, no, I'm screwed.
Oh, God. Conch horn.
Is that like, is that it though? Does it not have like a longer title, or is it just
conch horn.
Okay.
Sea lily's bell.
All right.
Surf harp. Wind marimba.
Oh god, no, that rings a bell.
Coral triangle. Organ of evening calm.
I swear to fuck these and like
Thunder drum.
Were these actually in the game?
Yeah, these were the instruments you got from the boss.
Oh no, I know that part, but I'm like the names just don't fucking register.
I don't know if
like maybe they were in the manual.
they're probably in the manual, but I'm pretty sure like when you get it, it says you got.
Oh yeah, like I don't doubt that. Like the part that I just feel like something's happened to my brain.
Probably.
What else is there?
That's all of them. That's the 8.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten shit. What was the oboe?
There was no oboe.
Fuck off! I swear there was a fucking oboe.
Oboe.
I swear, like, something had a fucking oboe in it now, and I'm fucking...
Oboe.
I mean, it's an item in the cadence of Hyrule. No, that's not what I'm thinking of. I swear to fuck. Oh, that is... God damn it.
I honestly don't know.
No, it's not. That's just fucking...
It's just in your brain.
Yeah.
Damn.
God damn it. That is fucking distressed me terribly. Fucking goddamn things. Seals will surf harp, wind marimba, coral triangle, organ of evening calm. That, like, that just doesn't even...
Organ of evening calm.
Yeah.
That's what I call my penis.
Nap
Amber,
time,
may I
dick.
see your sex organ?
It's because I I've played that game a lot. Like, I had that on the Game Boy. I had the fucking Game Boy Color version. Like, it's one of my favorite Zeldas.
But you're also like 40, so your brain's like...
I know, but like, that's not helping.
It's a
you know?
melting.
I don't...
The thing is, you've pushed out information to put in other information in.
I hope that's the fucking, I hope... The wind marimba does just look like some goddamn bars floating on like some, I don't know, rolls or something. Like, it's just... I swear the word oboe was in there somewhere. I was like, I know there's an oboe. There isn't an oboe. Alright, well, fuck. It fucking just injured a piece of me. Alright. Have you ever spoken to an inanimate object?
Yes.
Yeah, like, I talk to things a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big talker-tour of, just work your bastard. And
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to
Yeah,
me?
no, exactly. I believe that any object should know my feelings.
Yeah.
And my feelings on it. But yeah, no, things like that. Like,
I mean, only the wall answered me that time I was on all those drugs.
Jesus.
That's a vivid memory, that one. That's the weird part about, like, the fucking, high-level mushroom fucking shit is, like, it's not like being drunk or baked, you just kind of forget big chunks of it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
Stuff was switched on when that was going on.
I was on acid last week, and I was taking a shit, and I had the bath mat beneath my feet, and I was looking down, and the bath mat has like these little knobbly bits on it, so like it felt really comfortable, but also it looked like it was eating my feet.
Yeah, I'd feel like it was eating me. I'd be like, oh, the bath mat's eating me. I fucking hate having to take a shit on like hallucinogens.
Oh god, yeah, it's an experience.
I know, because like I'm just like, okay, everything could go wrong here. Like, there's just there are so many ways that I could fuck up this, and if that happens, you're not going to hear the end of it. Hey, remember when you wiped your ass with your pants and came out wearing toilet paper? It's just like, that could happen. You could be like, oh shit, I better fix this. And then, people just come in and you're just asleep on the floor or fucking, smeared it all over yourself or something along those lines, This could get out of hand. Like, dear fucking God. Yeah, like, I just kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to remember the last fucking inanimate object. I mean, I don't count my Transformers because they have little parties when I'm not around. That's clear and obvious. But like, yeah, the wall did talk back. That's
a lot.
That was one. And that's why I kind of like really get Bronson when he just ran downstairs screaming. It's just like, yeah, like people don't appreciate too much of like, if stuff starts talking to you, that's a kettle of fish.
Yeah,
like there's other stuff is You're either fucking insane, or like everything's watched you masturbate ever, and
I didn't think of that.
Now the computer also knows what you masturbate about.
Oh no!
Yeah,
the computer's seen some shit.
It's seen the worst of it.
Yeah.
Seen fucking... Just fucking... Yeah. It in the desk. Just talking about you. Alright. Well, now we get the novelty of... stories from the fans.
We don't have a fun question this week?
I was going to do a fun question, but then, like, have you ever spoken to an inanimate object was kind of a fun question. And then I kind of, like, I couldn't think of another one, really. Because, like, I was like, I was originally going to have a different thing in there, but then I was like, I actually, like, have spoken to an inanimate object and still sort of do.
Wait, I got one. Have you ever done the flowers, the loves me not, and do you feel that affected the outcome?
Yeah, all right.
I've never done it,
no,
so
neither have
I can't answer that. But people at home,
yeah,
did you do it and go, she loves me, then go up to your crush or whatever and confess? She'll be like, fuck no, or the opposite way.
Yeah, tell us how some of those crush confessions went. That'll cheer me up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got to get the fan answers. Love, like,
Fancies.
yeah. Just, because the Yahoo Mail has, like, ads on it and shit, and just the top ad is Asian Melodies, not a typical dating platform. Okay. What is your favorite ice cream? Vanilla gets a lot of flack for being boring, but good vanilla bean ice cream is a true delight. The ice cream that caught me completely off guard with how delicious it was a friend's homemade purple sweet potato ice cream. I wish I could describe the flavor, but I don't have the words for it. I'm unsure how she made it, but apparently it's big in Japan. I can kind of get that, because I did go through a period where I was making a sweet potato pie. And I feel like it's one of those ones where, like, if you just try to think of it in terms of, like, the sweet potato you maybe have with, like, a roast, your brain will approach it wrong. But it's kind of like, you can, I think with cinnamon, you need cinnamon with it. And that is true about good vanilla. Like, actual proper fucking vanilla ice cream it's an insane complex flavor, really. An actual vanilla bean, like actual vanilla, not fucking bullshit, like not like fake vanilla essence. Like actual vanilla essence is like fucking expensive as shit, because it's like hard to fucking get.
Yeah.
And then, then it somehow, I don't know, someone came up with fake vanilla and it got everywhere and now no one gives a shit and it's like fucking code word for just dull crap.
Yeah.
Feel bad for vanilla. Ever been grossed out by where something comes from? During one of my family trips over the border to Mexico, we got to visit an uncle's workplace. He worked at a factory that made Mexican candies. The main product for this factory was Lucas candy products in all its varieties. Lucas is fine for what it is, but seeing the reddish-brownish substance churning in large unwashed vats, the cobwebs, rat droppings on top of the eye-burning smell the vat produces, turned me off Lucas for good.
Ugh.
Ever had a food or drink come out of your nose? I entered a spicy wing-eating competition once.
Oh, no!
That's for a barbecue place's grand opening. I had a mid-chewing cough that sent the sauce right up my nose from the inside. This led to a sneeze, a snot of which landed on the rest of the wings. I was a slobbering, snotty, crying mess. I'm glad this was out of my city, as I was pointed and laughed at out of the competition. I mean, look.
Look, yeah, we're gonna laugh at that.
Especially, that would have just been like 0 to absolute chaos in like a matter of seconds. Just screaming, coughing, sneezing.
That person sneezed on the wings!
Wing sneezer! Wing sneezer, they called me.
Wing sneezer!
It flows really well. Like it shouldn't, but it does.
It's my Weezer cover band. Wing sneezer.
Ever been locked somewhere at work? At a previous IT gig, the buildings we were stationed at had gone through several different businesses. While there was very little that remained of any of those businesses, the one piece that stayed behind from one of them was a small single-door vault, no bigger than an apartment bathroom. The vault was unused, and imagine it only stayed because it may have been built into the ground. I was working overnights at the time, and while no one was around, a coworker and I flipped a coin to decide who was going into the vault and having the door closed behind them. We had the keys to it, so there was no real worry after testing the door a few times. I lost the coin flip and stepped into the small room. My coworker closed the door behind me. In the vault, I felt a true feeling of discomfort wash over me. That's a fantastic sentence. In the vault, I felt a true feeling of discomfort wash over me. You don't know what true darkness is until it feels nearly physical. Your eyes don't adjust as quickly as you hope. The room was also soundproof, so my own voice sounded weird to me in the darkness. I'm not claustrophobic, but if I was and hadn't known that this is the room where my first phobic meltdown might have happened. The fear truly set in when my coworker wasn't opening the door after he agreed upon 2 minutes. He got me out after 5 minutes because we got an emergency alarm on one of our monitoring systems, and he ran to address it before letting me out. I was a bit unhappy with him about that. Yeah, like me in the fucking airless void vault would be like, look, that takes precedent. You just don't be like, oh, you've only been in for 90 seconds. It's like, okay, then that's how long I'm going to be in the vault for.
Yeah.
You don't run off and leave me in the vault for like, because 3 extra minutes in the void is going to feel like it may as well be forever. Like dogs when you leave the house.
Yeah.
There's just no way of keeping track.
They're never coming back ever.
This is how it's going to be forever.
Oh, no.
Greetings, Twistlings. Long-time listener and first-time writer in here. I'm not sure what you should call me. Fuck it, call me Sheila. In any case, I have felt like this. What is your favorite ice
How
cream?
do you not know what we should call you? Do you not have a name?
It's Sheila, apparently.
It's Sheila now.
Yeah.
The person with no name,
We're going to
Sheila.
call you Beef Supreme. My favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip. The only remotely interesting story I have for that one is I once split some mint chocolate chip ice cream down the wall of my childhood bedroom. Oh, spilt, not split. About 25 or so years later, I was helping my mother move the furniture in preparation for repainting the bedroom and noticed the ice cream splatter was still there on a bit of the wall. It had aged surprisingly well. No mold or rot that I could see. Must have been the preservatives. Ever been grossed out by where something you like comes from? Not really. I once drank some goat milk on a school trip to a farm. My classmates were quite grossed out by that.
Probably because you drank it right from the teat.
Tackled the goat. The goat was screaming. To me, it just tasted like regular milk from a cow. Ever had food or drink come out of your nose? Yes, many times. The worst was probably a spaghetti noodle that went in through one of the openings in the back of my throat. It took quite a lot of effort and horrendous noises to clear it out of my nasal passage. Eventually, when I wasn't expecting it, I managed to blow the noodle out and shoot it out into the ground, sort of like a pasta snot rocket. Ugh. Ever been locked somewhere at work? Yes, I had just finished doing some chores outside when I was a child. Is that close enough to being at work? Messing with cars was something I sometimes did to entertain myself as a child, and on that day, Mum didn't lock the car after she drove it last. I got in the car and started fiddling with the switches, buttons, and knobs. One thing led to another, and I pulled the boot release lever. I opened the boot and started examining its locking mechanism. There were some exposed mechanical bits that I could manipulate with my fingers, and I thought I might be able to unlock it from the inside. Bear in mind, this was the early 90s, before cars had those prominent emergency release handles in the boot. I was very daring in those days and had a tendency to overestimate my abilities, and so, confident that I understood how the lock worked, I brought the boot lid down on myself. Mum drove a small and practical convertible at the time, so the cargo space was very tight, even for a child. After fumbling with the lock for a bit in cramped, absolute darkness, the reality that I was trapped inside a mobile sensory deprivation chamber began to set in. In pretty short order, my heart started racing and I panicked. I just barely had enough room to hit the inside of the boot lid with my hand, but the space was such that I couldn't pull my fist back far enough to give it a really hard, loud thump. I don't precisely know how long I spent in there, but it felt like an age. Eventually, Mum noticed her car was making noises while it was parked with the engine shut off. She opened the boot, and when I leapt out, she asked what the hell I was doing in there. I didn't really have the capacity to respond, so I just walked off shell-shocked without saying a word. I went indoors, sat on my bed, and stared off into space for a while, mentally processing what just happened. The ordeal was one of my earliest lessons in knowing one's limitations and thinking before doing. I've enjoyed your content for several years now and wish both of you the best going forward. Carry on, you glorious pair of lunatics.
Thank you.
Sincerely, Sheila Gisseroot, Executive Chairwoman of the Feral Tart Committee.
Jesus Christ.
P.S. Not my actual name and title.
Fucking, why not? Seize the day, Sheila.
Again, if you want to answer our questions, send your answers to ihavefeltlikethis@yahoo.com. That's ihavefeltlikethis, all lowercase, all one word, at yahoo.com. And the questions today are, ever had something stolen by a dog? Ever cheated on a test? Ever spoken to an inanimate object? What was yours again?
The flower picking.
Oh,
Has it ever influenced the outcome of a crush, or
Yeah.
have you felt it has?
Have you ever done the love me not with the flower petals and acted on it? So send those answers to ihavefeltlikethis@yahoo.com. I'm Gabriel Twist.
I'm Amber Twist.
And keep picking flowers.
Good night.